Imagine Lionel Messi stepping onto the pitch for his 6th and absolutely final World Cup.
Right.
And he's nursing this bad hamstring. He's carrying the entire weight of a nation. And he's lining up against a team from Jordan that's playing their first ever World Cup match in history.
It's just, I mean, it's cinematic, really.
It is. It's cinematic, but it is also a complete tactical minefield. So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're channeling a very specific energy for you.
Oh, for sure.
We're tapping into the official Group J preview penned by the Armchair Galáctico. Now, if you follow football internet, you know the Galactico.
Yeah, everybody knows the Galactico.
Right. He's that guy who will literally pull a hamstring just walking from the couch to the fridge.
Exactly.
But he can simultaneously, dismantle a professional manager's entire tactical setup with this cold, dry, edgy precision without ever actually looking away from his television screen.
He is basically the ultimate supremely confident couch pundit.
Right.
And his notes on Group J, so that's Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan, they're invaluable because he completely ignores all the standard pre-tournament PR.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't care about the press releases.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He looks at this group as this massive collision of extreme timelines. You have these aging legends who are just desperate for one last trophy.
Colliding directly with a team that's returning after a 28-year drought.
Right, and then a nation stepping under the global lights for the very first time. It's wild.
So our mission today is to take those Galactico notes and just hand you the ultimate insider knowledge. We're going to break down the dramatic fatal flaws, the mechanical vulnerabilities of these squads.
And the outrageous hot takes, obviously.
Obviously. So you can sound like the smartest person at your watch party, and there is literally no other place to start than the undeniable center of gravity in this group.
Right.
You cannot preview Group J without dissecting the 38-year-old elephant in the room.
Lionel Messi. I mean, the Galactico zeroes in on a really specific, terrifying detail for Argentina here.
The hamstring.
Hamstring, yeah. It's a mild left hamstring strain, plus this lingering muscle fatigue that actually dates all the way back to an Inter-Miami match on May 25th.
Wow, that long ago.
Yeah, and Coach Lionel Scaloni has been treating him like literal fragile glass in all the friendlies leading up to the tournament.
Which is exactly where the Galactico assigns Argentina their fatal flaw. He calls it sentiment getting in the way of sense.
Ooh, I like that phrasing.
Right. It's this overwhelming temptation for Scaloni to just rush Messi back onto the pitch because the entire country of Argentina is essentially demanding to see him play every single minute of this farewell tour.
But tactically, a hamstring strain on a 38-year-old, it just changes the entire geometry of how a team plays.
How so?
Well, modern football requires all 11 players to press, right? If Messi's on the pitch and he's nursing a bad leg, he cannot trigger that press.
He's just walking around.
Exactly. And that means the midfield trio right behind him, they have to run an extra 2 or 3 kilometers a game just to cover the space he's leaving open.
Yeah.
It fundamentally alters their entire defensive block.
Okay, but I'm going to challenge the Galactico's premise here. Let's say you own a priceless classic Ferrari.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's gorgeous, it's legendary, but the check engine light is flashing on the dashboard. Do you leave it parked in the garage during the biggest car show of the decade? Or do you risk blowing the engine for one last glorious joyride? Because the expectation from the fans is that the Ferrari absolutely must leave the garage. They paid to see the Ferrari.
That's a fun analogy, but the Ferrari analogy really only works if we are talking about a Sunday joyride. A World Cup is not a joyride.
Fair point.
It is a marathon. If you blow the engine in week 1 against Jordan, you are walking the rest of the way. And Scaloni has to be entirely cold-blooded here because he isn't just relying on one classic car anymore.
Right, they have depth now.
Massive depth. Argentina brings back 17 veterans from their victory in Qatar. The Galactico makes a point to highlight that Julian Alvarez has fully recovered from his ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Christian Romero has cleared his knee ligament issue.
So the mechanics of the team don't actually require Messi to function, at least in the group stage?
They really don't. Think about how Alvarez plays. He is an absolute machine when it comes to high-intensity pressing.
Right, he runs nonstop.
Nonstop. So if Scaloni starts Alvarez instead of a hobbled Messi, Argentina can actually maintain a suffocating high line. They have Alexis McAllister dictating the tempo, Lautaro Martinez finishing the chances.
So the Galactico's advice is purely mechanical then. wrap Messi in cotton wool in June, so he is physically capable of, dropping his shoulder and accelerating in July.
Exactly.
But the real test of Scaloni's management, then, is looking the greatest player in history in the eye and telling him to go sit on the bench, knowing that 100 cameras are recording his every reaction.
And if sentiment overrides that logic, if Scaloni bows to the pressure of the farewell tour and plays a compromised Messi Argentina, risks burning out their midfield and exposing their defense before the knockout rounds even begin.
Man. Okay, so if Argentina's biggest tactical issue is having the luxury to rest their star, but maybe lacking the psychological willpower to do it,
Right.
their primary challenger in this group is dealing with the exact opposite structural nightmare, Algeria.
Oh, Algeria. The
Yeah.
Galactico calls them the challenger's gamble.
Yeah, because their entire setup is completely hostage to the emotion of one player's exit, but combined with a defensive foundation that is actively crumbling.
You're talking about Riyad Mahrez.
Yes, you have a 35-year-old Riyad Mahrez openly declaring this as his farewell tour. He is the creative focal point of the whole squad.
Yeah, their tactical system is basically designed to just isolate him on the right wing so he can cut inside on his left foot.
And to be fair, he has the firepower around him to finish those sequences, like Mohamed Amour is arriving in red-hot form.
10 goals and 8 qualifiers for Wolfsburg, right?
Exactly. And you also have Aissa Mandi anchoring the backline, a guy with, 116 international caps? On paper, the spine of the team is incredibly experienced.
Yeah, but experience only gets you so far when your defensive mechanics are just completely broken.
Which brings us to the crisis.
Yes. The Galactico introduces this incredibly bizarre medical crisis hanging over the Algerian squad. They actually called up goalkeeper Luka Zidane.
Wait, yes, Zinedine Zidane's son?
Zidane's son, yeah. They called him up while he is actively recovering from a double chin and a jaw fracture.
A double chin and a fractured jaw. I'm sorry, this is where the Galactico's dry humor really shines. He points out that Algeria's fatal flaw is carrying a massive goalkeeping gamble into a group with the defending world champions.
It's brutal. But tactically, it breaks down their entire defensive structure.
How so? Because of the communication.
Communication, but also positioning. If Algeria wants to play a high defensive line to support Mahrez and Amour in the attack, they absolutely require a sweeper keeper who is completely fearless in coming off his line to clear the ball.
Right.
If your goalkeeper has a wired fractured jaw, he's going to be subconsciously terrified of physical contact. He's going to stay glued to his line.
Wow, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It creates this massive exploitable gap between the defense and the goalkeeper.
But wait, I want to push back on where the actual vulnerability lies here. Is the problem really the goalkeeper's jaw, or is it the complete over-reliance on a 35-year-old Mahrez?
It's an interesting question.
Because if your entire identity is tied up in a highly publicized farewell tour, you are demanding a single aging player to just conjure magic out of nothing. Mahrez can win you a game, sure, but he can't cover for a goalkeeper who is afraid to leave his 6-yard box.
I'd argue the two issues are deeply connected, actually.
Okay.
The psychology of a farewell tour structurally warps a team. When the narrative focuses entirely on giving the departing talisman a perfect send-off, managers develop these massive tactical blind spots.
Oh, I see.
Right. They pour all their energy into offensive patterns just to get Mahrez the ball. And they completely ignore the fact that their defensive offside trap cannot function because the goalkeeper cannot vocalize commands through a healing jaw.
So they are basically throwing all their chips at the attacking end of the pitch and just praying the ball doesn't come back the other way.
Yeah, but when you face a team like Argentina, the ball always comes back the other way.
Very true.
And if the keeper won't command the box, Aissa Mandi's 116 caps don't matter at all. The communication breaks down, the defensive line has to drop too deep to compensate, and suddenly Mahrez is stranded 70 yards from the opposition goal.
Algeria's system is just completely subservient to the individual.
Completely.
So if you want to see the exact opposite, a team where the tactical machine is absolutely everything and the individual is secondary, you just have to look at Austria.
The Galactico calls them the European machinery.
Which is such a good name. Austria is arriving at the World Cup for the first time in 28 years. Which is wild. Their last significant peak was, I think, a third-place finish in 1954.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. But they aren't showing up just to be tourists. They are bringing this ruthless, hyper-modern identity installed by their coach, Ralf Rangnick.
And the source material highlights exactly why this identity works so well. 14 of their 26 players currently play in the German Bundesliga.
And that isn't just a fun trivia fact, you know. It is a massive mechanical advantage.
It's everything.
Because Rangnick's system is built on gegenpressing, hunting the ball immediately after losing it. And you cannot just tell 11 players to run around. They have to recognize specific triggers.
Like what?
Like a heavy touch by an opponent or a slow pass to a fullback. Because more than half this squad plays in the Bundesliga, they share the exact same tactical language. They all recognize the trigger at the exact same millisecond.
And they have serious talent executing that press, too. You've got Captain David Alaba returning from a knee injury that cost him Euro 2024.
Huge return for them.
Yeah. Plus, Marko Arnautovic brings 47 international goals of experience, and Christoph Baumgartner is flying off a 13-goal season for RB Leipzig.
They're stacked.
But the Galáctico identifies a glaring fatal flaw for Austria, and it actually isn't tactical at all. It is the 28-year wait itself.
Right, because you cannot simulate the psychological pressure of a World Cup inside a training facility.
Exactly. Think of Austria's pressing system like a high-performance synchronized engine. The timing has to be immaculate. The pistons have to fire at the exact right moment. They have spent months in the garage tuning this engine, and it sounds perfect on the test track.
Yeah.
But they haven't driven it on a live, chaotic track in 3 decades.
Yeah.
When the stadium lights come on and 1 billion people are watching, if one single player gets nervous and presses half a second too late,
the synchronized engine completely seizes up. That is the mechanical vulnerability of a rigid system right there. The Galáctico points out that discipline gets you very close, but it has a ceiling. Austria might execute their defensive lock and their pressing triggers flawlessly for 89 minutes against Argentina.
they could totally frustrate the life out of Scaloni's team.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But all it takes is one broken play.
Just one.
Exactly one. You can rehearse the pressing engine all you want, but if Lionel Messi receives the ball, drops his shoulder, and slips a pass through a gap that technically shouldn't exist, the machine breaks.
Discipline does not guarantee a result against alien brilliance.
No, it only guarantees that you stay in the game long enough to find out if the brilliance actually shows up.
Man, that's well said. So from the rigid, calculated European machine, we move to a team that doesn't care about the machine at all.
They really don't.
They are operating purely on adrenaline, emotion, and history. Let's talk about Jordan.
The debutante's dream.
Yes, decades of failed qualification campaigns, and they finally broke through.
And Coach Jamal Salami is audacious. He isn't just setting up to defend and survive. He is openly targeting a run similar to Morocco's historic semifinal push in 2022.
And they have a very specific tactical outlet to try and make that happen. The Galáctico highlights Moussa Altamari as their absolute talisman.
Yeah, he's the only player in the squad operating in a top 5 European league. He's pitting up 7 goals and 11 assists at Stade Rennais.
Wow.
And Altamari isn't just a fast winger. Mechanically, he is their entire pressure release valve.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, when Jordan is forced into a deep defensive block, say, against a team like Austria, they will absorb the pressure, win the ball, and immediately look for Altamari to exploit the massive space by that high Austrian defensive line.
Ah, I see. Just bypass the midfield entirely.
Exactly. And he is supported by Ali Owan, who bagged 9 goals in qualifying, and Ghazan Al-Arab marshalling the defense.
Now, the Galáctico points out a really incredible narrative detail here, what he calls the poetic symmetry of Group J. You have Jordan stepping onto the pitch for their very first World Cup appearance, drawn into the exact same group as Messi's final World Cup act.
It's amazing.
The absolute beginning of a nation's dream sharing the grass with the definitive end of an era.
It is a beautiful narrative.
Yeah.
But, the Galáctico quickly pivots back to the tactical reality.
Always does.
Jordan's fatal flaw is the brutal apprenticeship of this draw. Making your debut against the defending world champions and attacking African powerhouse and a drilled European machine. I mean, it is a nightmare scenario.
Okay, I am going to fundamentally question that fatal flaw framing, though.
Really? How so?
If you are Jordan, the entire world expects you to finish with 0 points. Does that not make them the most dangerous team in the group? They are playing with literal house money. They have the pure joy of a realized dream powering them. Compare that to Austria, who are terrified of embarrassing themselves after a 28-year wait, or Argentina, who have the crushing weight of a nation demanding a perfect farewell. I'd argue that playing with house money is a massive tactical advantage.
Okay, look, house money is a great concept until the referee blows the whistle.
Okay, fair.
The psychological boost of being the underdog is very real, but it is incredibly fragile. House money usually evaporates the very moment you go down a goal.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. If Argentina scores in the 15th minute, the joy doesn't help you win possession back from Enzo Fernandez. The reality of tournament football is that adrenaline cannot cover tactical gaps for 90 minutes.
So what is the actual measure of success for Jordan, then, if the tactics don't hold up?
Well, the Galáctico notes it is the cultural milestone. Think about June 27th in Dallas. Jordan plays Argentina.
Massive game.
Even if Argentina dismantles them 5-0, the scoreline is almost entirely secondary for the players and the country. The victory is literally just the television broadcast showing their flag flying against the world champions.
Wow, yeah.
The entire nation is already planning celebrations just for the fact that the match is taking place.
That dynamic is exactly what makes predicting this group so incredibly difficult. You are trying to weigh raw, unquantifiable human emotion against cold, hard, tactical data.
Which is nearly impossible.
So let's bring it all together and see how the Galactico's couch pundit projections shake out.
All right, well, it all hinges on match day 1, June 16th in Kansas City. Argentina taking on Algeria.
The decisive matchup that essentially dictates the entire flow of the group.
Exactly. If Argentina wins that game, they effectively lock down the group immediately. The pressure evaporates. Scaloni suddenly has the breathing room to rest Messi's hamstring for the remaining games without facing a national revolt.
Which means Austria and Algeria are then left to just ruthlessly cannibalize each other for the second qualification spot. According to the Galactico, how does that actually play out?
He gives Argentina a towering 94% chance of qualification. He predicts they top the group without much stress.
That makes sense.
And then he has Algeria edging out second place. He's basically betting that Mahrez's attacking brilliance will barely outscore the defensive chaos caused by their goalkeeping situation.
Which leaves Austria's synchronized engine sputtering out into a frustrating third place.
Yeah, the 28-year wait ends with immense discipline, but ultimately lacks the unpredictable cutting edge needed to break down the top 2.
And Jordan goes home proudly in fourth, having secured their cultural milestone.
Exactly.
Now we're throwing the challenge over to you. The Galactico has given you the tactical blueprints. You know how Messi's hamstring alters the Argentine press? You know why a fractured jaw destroys Algeria's offside trap?
You know the mechanics of Austria's Bundesliga engine and the adrenaline powering Jordan.
Right. So it is time to put your own armchair analysis to the test. Build your Group J bracket right now at bracketmachine.app. Use the code Z9U8XX to lock in your predictions.
Let's see if your couch pundit logic can beat the Galactico.
That's bracketmachine.app, code Z9U8XX.
Watching the tactical reality collide with the emotional weight of this group is going to be fascinating.
It is the ultimate study in contrasting timelines. The end of the road for Messi and Mahrez, the long-awaited return for Austria, and the very first steps for Jordan. You now have the dry, analytical heat to dominate the conversation at any watch party.
Just remember to stretch before you walk to the fridge.
Very important advice. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final unresolved thought to mull over. We have spent this entire time analyzing the massive emotional gravity of the farewell tour and how it impacts the departing legends.
Right, like the pressure on Scaloni to play Messi or Algeria's entire system bending to accommodate Mahrez.
Exactly. But consider the psychological ripple effect on the next generation of players waiting in the wings. If a 38-year-old legend with a bad hamstring refuses to yield the spotlight and the manager refuses to bench them out of sentiment,
what does that do to the 22-year-old?
Yes. What does that do to the development and the confidence of the 22-year-old rising star who is forced to just sit and watch? At what point does honoring the past actively sabotage a nation's future? Chew on that while you wait for kickoff. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.